paper, and the first thing on that position paper is gun registration. It would be the...
I'm Adrienne.
And I'm Drake.
And we're from the Santa Barbara Middle School Teen Press, here with...
I'm Santa Barbara Mayor Helene Schneider.
Hi. So, President Obama said, more than 1,000 birthdays, graduations, and anniversaries have been stolen from our lives by a bullet from a gun. What's something kids our age can do to prevent gun violence?
Well, I think if you're in a household that has guns, to be aware of it and not touch them, and hopefully talk with your parents about making sure they're in a safe, locked place. Or certainly if you end up playing at a friend's house in a house that might have a firearm, to stay away from them, and it's okay to speak out about that. But also, I think it's important for kids to talk to their parents about what you believe in terms of how to keep safe. Keep that dialogue going. It's really very important.
So what's something the city of Santa Barbara can do to stop gun violence?
Well, I think awareness is very important, and so we do what we can to have access to services so that people who choose to have guns don't use them in such a violent way. We want to respect people's rights, but also don't want to have a situation where people feel like the only alternative they have is to use a gun for violent means. So if there are things we can do to be a more inclusive community, to have services and to help people in need, that's something the city can work with the county and other nonprofits and make sure that people have access to healthy activities.
Who do you think should be allowed to own guns?
Well, that's a very excellent question and a tough one to answer. Certainly, I personally believe in universal background checks, and I believe you need to be an adult to have a gun, 18 or older. I believe those who are on parole or on probation should not have access to firearms. If you have been convicted of a crime, then that is something you need to go through that process and earn the right to get the gun back after time and after serving time. People who are significantly mentally ill, that's a tough one. How do you determine that? Who makes that determination? But really, I think a lot of it's about personal responsibility, about a responsible adult making sure that if they do have a gun, they keep it locked, inaccessible from kids, with the ammunition away from the gun itself.
So there's been a lot of talk that armed guards have been stationed or should be stationed at schools and movie theaters. What do you think about that?
When I first heard that, I thought that was very exaggerated. I would much rather, just to think of how you're going to fund something like that. I've heard Superintendent David Cash talk about how schools are places of learning, not prisons. At the same time, you do want access to law enforcement should you need it. We're very proud to have a school resource officer who's a police officer who does have a gun, who's there in the high schools, but not there as a security guard. The person is there as access to be a resource for the students, for the teachers, for the parents, to make sure people are safe. And if anything seems weird going on, we have someone there who can follow up. The funding of that it would take to do what that proposal is asking for, I think, could be so much better utilized for mental health services, for psychiatric care if necessary, for just general better cultural awareness.
Yeah. So what do you think this discussion accomplished tonight?
Well, it's a beginning, I hope, of an ongoing dialogue. I think there was a lot of great information about how to stay safe should something happen, how to talk to kids when they see something happen elsewhere in terms of keeping our own ourselves safe and feeling good about talking with each other. The incidents about suicide and the discussion about access to firearms can actually make it more likely that a suicide will be completed rather than the likelihood of someone changing their mind using another form of to try when they're trying to kill themselves. Very sad situations for sure. But I think there's so many different aspects of the high cost of gun violence, and not just about the psychological and the legal and the law enforcement, but losing a loved one and the community effect. Just to have the community come together and have this conversation, I think can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here.